Okay, I'm here at Dragonmeet 2024, and I'm very fortunate to have to meet Matthew, Managing Director of Mongoose Publishing.
It is, yeah.
And Matthew has very kindly agreed to give us a few minutes to talk about Traveller.
Indeed.
So Matthew, you've been involved with Traveller for how many years now?
Many, 16, 18, something like that.
18 years, wow, long time. So someone like me, I'm quite new to Traveller. Where do you start?
Basically, the core rule book's got everything you need.
Yeah.
Whether you want to start off with the typical traders on the grey side of the law,
yeah.
Or be mercenaries, bounty hunters, any science fiction style of campaign you like, Traveller can do it.
Okay, and there's so many. I mean, how do I organize these various different? There's so many books. What are we looking at here? For example, Deep Night Revelation. This is adventures.
A complete campaign. Will keep you going for a couple of years in the real world.
Right. And if you buy one of these, do you get the PDFs as well?
You do indeed. Completely free immediately.
Well, that's excellent. And this goes along with I've seen a very popular Pirates of Drinax, which is here.
Which is that one, yes.
Yeah.
Another grand campaign. We try to balance it between doing single one-shot adventures and the grand campaigns you can just sink into for a couple of years.
Really? So I got a couple of these. So these are the single games, single adventures. You also then do grand campaigns. And I see over here you have one on the Great Rift. And the Great Rift is the sort of frontier area.
Yes, setting book. That's basically deep space where there really aren't any civilizations. So heading out and just seeing what's there, really.
So this isn't a campaign, this is a setting book.
Yes.
So you have adventures, campaigns, and setting books.
Yes.
And how many setting books do you have?
Well, this is all based in the Charted Space Universe, which is kind of the main setting for Traveller.
Yeah.
But that's a huge area of space, so we kind of zoom in on different areas. That's basically the area that was always presumed to be empty, but there are a few things there, and it's unexplored.
So at this point, do you have any other setting boxes?
Yep, back down here.
Yep.
These are our sector books. Each book contains 2 sectors that are adjacent to each other.
Okay, excellent.
And again, focusing on specific areas like Spinwood Marches is the classic area to adventure in.
They're such romantic names as well.
Yes, covered in this book.
Yeah.
But gradually we're trying to cover the entirety of Charted Space. It will take us about 50 or 60 years to do that.
I can imagine. So tell us, let's say I'm a long-standing player of Traveller. What would you suggest I look at if I've already got the basics and so on? Where would I go next?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the direction. I mean, I might always suggest dive into one of the big campaigns, one of the big sandbox campaigns. It'll keep you going for a long, long time.
So I have a difficult question for you. Traveller's been going for so many years, I think around about when Star Wars came out.
1977, yeah.
77. Did it come out simultaneously with Star Wars?
No, it was a little after.
A little after. What do you... Because so many science fiction games have come and gone, but yet Traveller has endured.
Yeah.
What is the appeal? What do you think is the formula, the winning formula? It's a tough question, but in your opinion?
I mean, at the time, it was just different enough from D&D, which was the big game in the 70s. What's tougher to answer is why it still continues to attract people now.
Yes.
I don't have a ready answer for that. It's got a very, very broad appeal. It'd be tempting to say it's a bit like the D&D of science fiction. Whatever kind of science fiction story you want to tell, Traveller can do it. Whereas other science fiction games have a tendency to lock you into a specific genre or subgenre. For example,
a marginal case of one kind or another.
I mean, you get something very popular like Star Trek, Star Wars, or Warhammer 40,000, which are all excellent games. But you do a game for Warhammer, it will only ever do Warhammer.
Got it.
Traveller can do everything.
Right. So it's that generic in a good sense, sort of center, hits a middle ground.
Yes.
And allows you to, because I often thought, because over there, for example, is it Modiphius, they do a an Alien game, and I'm not sure personally. I think a game like this could cover those cases.
The something like, I think Alien Traveller could do exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Because it does have that kind of deadly element.
Yeah.
The bigger challenges will be something like Warhammer 40,000 or perhaps Star Wars when you start thinking about things like Jedi.
Yeah.
You absolutely could do it, but the rules would need to be bent and twisted. I mean, if we ever were to do Star Wars Traveller, we could take all the core rules to Traveller. We'd need to work on how the Force worked, but then it would be perfect.
I love that concept in the Traveller universe of how messages don't travel any faster than ships. It really has a big influence on the way the universe
It's one of the sacred cows of Traveller. That's one thing that will never ever change with it. It's basically Age of Sail in space. So when you had everything being run from London, but you've got colonies over in the Caribbean, the people running things in the Caribbean have to be able to act on their own authority. They can't just ask London for how to solve every problem. That's Traveller.
Got it. So over here, what are these things? The Journal of the Traveller's Aid Society, how do they fit in, and when should I look at these?
Well, the journals are basically a collection of articles ostensibly set within the Charted Space universe. They allow us to do short adventures and single ships and patrons that you can just insert into any campaign. They also allow us to try certain concepts with without making them too official. They are canon, but they're not canon. So we can experiment with the articles in JTAS, and if they get traction, they can sometimes find their way into the main lines.
Oh, great! So this is it's like a test bed, the art house at the end of it, where
it is.
You can explore ideas and
fundamentally, it's little things players can try. Be that. Here's a new career to try, or here's an adventure that will you can slot straight in, and that's your evening's play done.
And you've also recently launched a series of comics.
Yes, that's being done through a company called Marcosia. They're also based in Britain. And we're just seeing how they go at the moment. They seem to be very well received, and it's another way to tell stories in the Traveller universe.
I bought this one. I'm enjoying it. So, a big question I've been meaning to ask you, and you do cover more detail about this on your website, but I'd love to hear your take. And that is, I'm very interested in, contributing creatively to any game that I'm involved in. It's not enough just for me to play. I also like to get involved and to create. I'm sure that's true for many, many people as well. And I noticed there are various routes for people to get involved if they wanted to create, even on a commercial basis. Could you talk a little bit about that to simplify?
Yeah, there's basically 4 different ways in at the moment. Firstly, the fair use policy that basically says you can do anything you like with Traveller and publish it so long as you're not copying huge swathes of text and you don't charge money for it.
Okay.
Then you've got the...
just before you move on that, so I could, for example, publish that on some platform like Drive-Thru, but as long as I'm not paying, I'm not charging. So it doesn't matter where I put it, as long as I'm not charging. That's
it's basically a way you can write for Traveller and you can share your ideas. We're not going to come after you. That's basically what it's there for. The second way is through Drive-Thru. We've got the TAS program, which basically means that if you follow some simple rules, you can publish for using our official Traveller books, and you can charge for it. We've also just added a slight offshoot from that, Classic TAS, which means you can do the same thing with the very first edition of Traveller.
What is the deal around that? Is there a split? Is there royalty? How does that work?
It's basically between us and Drive-Thru. You'll get 65% of everything that your titles make.
And the other percentage is shared between yourself and Drive-Thru?
Yeah, it's mostly Drive-Thru.
Well, I think that's very reasonable. And so that covers 3, you said 4.
Yes, there's that's just two actually. The third one, we do have the Traveller Compatibility License. If you're already an established publisher, and that doesn't mean one of the big boys, if you prove that you can actually make decent quality publications and you want to take it to print, the Traveller Compatibility License is royalty free. You can use the Traveller logo right on the front, but that's kind of, you approach us and we work. We'll see if we're happy.
Out of curiosity, why would you allow someone to do that if you're not getting anything out of it from a royalty
We
standpoint?
do, because it's directly supporting Traveller.
I see. So it's supporting the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's the same as the old D20 license, effectively. Even if somebody took a complete left turn on the D20 license, it was still supporting D&D. That was the point of it.
I see. So you're taking a sort of an enlightened self-interest view that this is helping spread the name of Traveller. And...
Well, yeah, I mean, we started off with D20 license, so we're happy to continue that legacy. Okay. That's fine. The fourth way is through JTAS. Every 2 or 3 years, we put out a call. We're going to be doing some more JTAS volumes. We have open call for submissions. That's a way to test your writing for Traveller. And if we like the cut of your jib on that, we might ask you to do a 32-page adventure after that, and maybe end up with one of the big hardbacks. There's a couple of our frontline writers who came up exactly through that route.
Brilliant. So, how is this all of the Traveller's Aid Society journal?
All the ones out at the moment. Yeah. We've got another 6 volumes in production right now. They should be out maybe second quarter next year.
So in terms of sort of getting involved in that, what's your cadence then for these journals? Is it every year that you'll be putting that call out?
It's perhaps every 3 years at the moment.
3 years, right. What about for artists?
Get in touch with us, let us see your portfolio, and yeah, we're always looking for good artists.
Okay, brilliant. So what's next up? What should fans of Traveller be looking forward to? What's coming out next?
There's a lot. I mean, the very next title coming out, hopefully before Christmas, will be Clans of the Aslan, which digs deep into Aslan culture. I think it's a fantastic book. It's written by the same guy who did the Deep in the Dark Sector book. And it did get me thinking, reading it, what we need to do is a complete campaign purely for Aslan. That's basically Game of Thrones, but with cats.
Cool. Excellent. So a lot of rivalries and so on, with the different clans within the Aslan society.
And it's the book's just got it puts across nicely the tensions that go on in the High Rate. I think it's an absolutely fantastic book. I can't wait to see what people think of it.
And then, do you know what's coming after that?
The big projects for next year are, first one is Singularity, which is another one of our big mega campaigns. It's set in Core Sector. It deals with themes of artificial intelligence a lot. That's written by fan favourite Chris Griffin. It's going to be that's going to be a nice campaign for. That would probably take people about a year to play through, and it's got kind of that nice balance of being sandboxy, so players can go in different directions, but it's set along specific routes, so the referee will always know where they're going to be next, so never caught completely off guard.
I mean, that brings a question to mind, which is how do you integrate ongoing developments in the real world in terms of computers, technology, and so on, in a game that was originally, came to life in the late 70s?
We have to make changes every now and again. I mean, the obvious one is the size of computers, because back in the 70s, they're the size of rooms. In Traveller today, we don't take their size into account at all when it comes to spacecraft. So you do get little changes like that. You will see in our books there's a lot more drones than there used to be in older Traveller. We're keeping an eye on on the development of artificial intelligence. In terms of Traveller, at the moment everything still fits. If we gain a conscious intelligence next year, then we might have to change a few things, but we'll see how that goes.
Fair enough. Well, listen, I'm going to let you crack on. You're very busy here. My pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your
I appreciate
time.
that.